A bonfire in Northern Ireland topped with a model migrant dinghy and a sign reading "Stop the boats" has been set alight and torched. As police investigate the display now, they're calling it a hate crime. Well, let's now speak with the Director of Unionist Voice Policy Studies, and that's Jamie Bryson. Jamie, welcome to the show. A pleasure to have your company. It's fair to say this bonfire has caused an absolute political bonfire. It's caused a huge stink with practically everybody coming out against it. But Jamie Bryson, you've been on the record saying you believe this is legitimate political expression. Tell us more.
Well, I mean, most of the people who are getting very excited about all of this are the same people who were defending kneecap, who were defending Bob Villain, who were defending effigies of Donald Trump, of Nigel Farage, of Boris Johnson. So it seems effigies in this type of controversial political protest is all fine, so long as it's something that the left and the woke-o-latte and the latte-drinking liberals think is okay. So, look, the guys on this bonfire, it's a contemporary issue, mass illegal immigration with people coming over, thousands of men of fighting age coming over on boats, invading essentially the United Kingdom, is a contemporary issue. And the guys on this bonfire, every year, they combine their cultural celebration with an act of political protest through some form of art. And this year they chose that subject. So I think, one of the big things is the hypocrisy of so many people, because if Donald Trump or Boris Johnson or Nigel Farage was on top of this bonfire, then the same people would be delighted by that. But simply because it's a subject which they like, they want to see mass immigration, they want to see the social cohesion of the United Kingdom and our indigenous British communities broken down. So all of a sudden they're outraged, and I think they need to catch themselves on. But look, it has, number one, exposed the hypocrisy of the woke-o-latte, the Twitter-latte, and the latte-drinking liberals, which is always a good thing. And it's also brought to a UK-wide audience this issue to the fore again about stop the boats, and we do need to stop the boats. So, do you know what? If people's upset about it, my answer to that is, so what? I don't care, and I doubt that the people who put it there will care either.
Jamie Bryson, there has been a huge backlash against it. Let's read a few of them out now. Sinn Féin called it a vile and deplorable act and clearly a hate crime. The Church of Ireland's Archbishop called it racist, threatening and offensive, inhuman and deeply sub-Christian. Amnesty International Northern Ireland got involved, called it vile, dehumanising act that fuels hatred and racism. But I find this comment, Jamie Bryson, fascinating, from the police service of Northern Ireland, who say that they're investigating as a hate incident. Police are here to help those who are or who feel vulnerable, to keep people safe. Jamie Bryson, we've been speaking to people in Northern Ireland and the Republic indeed for many months now, and the working class communities there are often telling us they don't feel safe, they feel vulnerable, and they point the finger at uncontrolled illegal immigration. And do you think, Jamie Bryson, this bonfire, this pyre we can see on our screens now, is totemic of the fact they've been ignored for too long?
Absolutely. And just before I deal with that point, you let out a comment there from Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin, who bombed the Le Mans Hotel with a firebomb, murdering people who supported murder and mayhem for 30 years, are now all of a sudden lecturing people on hate crimes. I don't think any unionist, loyalist, or in fact any decent person will be taking lectures of Sinn Féin, the political wing of the IRA. In respect of how people feel about mass illegal immigration, I mean, we've had the London bombings, the Manchester bombings, stabbings, terrorist attacks all across the United Kingdom, and the left, the establishment, all they've done is try and cover that up for the most part. And yet, if they were as exercised about the terrorist attacks carried out by, for the most part, extremist Islamic terrorists in the United Kingdom, if they got as exercised about that and wanted to take to the airwaves as much about that and listen to people's concerns about that as they are in respect of a bit of artistic protest at a bonfire, then maybe the United Kingdom would be a safer place for everybody that lives here.
OK, Jamie Bryson, of course, I'm duty bound to point out that, of course, Sinn Féin would deny they have anything to do with the IRA. But Jamie Bryson, on a serious point, Jamie, what's been the reaction amongst the locals in the area? We're not hearing much from them. We're hearing from all the offended bodies. We're hearing from political organisations, Amnesty International. What are the locals saying?
I mean, the notion that anybody in Magashal cares what Amnesty International have to say. I mean, Amnesty International are the left-wing activist organisation in Northern Ireland. They are a pro-Irish nationalist organisation. So nobody in any unionist community in Northern Ireland will give a second thought to whatever that Amnesty International has to say. Nobody cares. There was a huge turnout at the bonfire by local people in Magashal last night. They clearly support it. They keep coming every year. And look, there can be legitimate questions or debate about taste, about propriety. It's not a crime. I mean, it's just not a crime. And I would point out some of the media in Northern Ireland who probably need to go back and do some legal training to understand when the police talk about they're investigating, treating this as a hate incident, what that actually means is somebody has phoned up and said, we think this is motivated by hate, and they have to record it as a hate incident. The media in Northern Ireland have substituted the word incident for crime, as if the police have opened a criminal investigation, and they actually haven't. Somebody has been offended, probably Amnesty International or some nationalist politician has phoned up and said, we think this is motivated by hate, and that's how the police have recorded it. But if we're going to talk about hate crimes, then, I mean, let's go after NECAP. Let's go after Bob Villan, who's still on the streets and hasn't been arrested. Let's have equal standards across the board, or not.
OK, Jamie Bryson, fascinating stuff. Thank you for your forthright opinions on the show tonight on GB News. Pleasure to have your company. Now, earlier on in the show, I spoke with the political commentator Matthew Stadlen, and he argues that any effigy burning anybody is a step too far.
Burning effigies of other human beings.
Okay.
Look, there is anger about the number of people who come to this country illegally. Many of them are genuine asylum seekers. Some of them are not. People want things to be done fairly. People, including myself, want us to have borders that actually work. It's been a huge advantage to us over the centuries that we are an island. In this case, it's not proving to be such an advantage, although I can tell you if you're in Europe with land borders, it's certainly no easier. The government is committed to trying to sort this out. The fact that they haven't yet, in my view, shows how difficult it is. You'd like us, I think, to leave the Refugee Convention. You'd like us to leave the European Convention on Human Rights. I'm afraid I don't agree with you on that, because I think they're still important things.
Here's something